Hello everyone. It's James again. And today, I wanted to talk about something the narcissist does with the phone. That at one time I thought was unique. But I'm almost willing to bet is very common. We'll find out after I finish this video and you're able to leave your comments. Anyways, this thing the narcissist does with the phone is they will figure out a way to accuse you of something, or get under your skin, so to speak. Then they will go to the other room, call one of their friends that isn't aware yet that they are evil. Or they might call an evil flying monkey. Then once back in the room with you on the phone, the narcissist will say something about you or about your particular situation that will end up with you responding to defend yourself verbally. But its intent and purpose is to make you look crazy to the person the narcissist just called. It's a really weird, tricky dance the narcissist does here. But it's something I've seen since I was a child with my mother, all the way up to being an adult with Susie. You see, right before my father died. And as a side note, I think the stress of him fighting for and losing his children caused his death. But anyway, right before my father died, we were living apart from him, because there was a lot of court drama going on. My mother did a lot of love bombing to my golden child brother and I. Again, another topic for another video. But during this my mother did something weird. She would oftentimes figure out a way to get my brother angry at me. So we would argue. Or it might have to do with us missing our father. We might ask questions that turned into circular conversations. Yes, even as a young child, I would have circular conversations with my mother that went nowhere. I think this is why I became the scapegoat. Because I asked a lot of questions. More so than my brother. Though I went along with a lot, I questioned things a lot too. My brother just did whatever he had to do to get love, or fake love, from my mother. So during this asking questions, she was a master at getting the conversation to direct it into a way my brother and I would start to argue with each other. Or with her. She would then call a family friend that thought my mother was a saint a few minutes after the fighting or arguing had stopped. Then my mother would say something that would trigger us to fight again while she was on the phone with this friend. Such as, James was questioning this, that and the other of why his father isn't around, and obviously doesn't know how hard I'm fighting to make sure they are safe from their father. And then I would stand up and try to verbally defend my point. And I wasn't only trying to convince my narcissist mother of my points, but now I'm trying to convince some lady on the other end of the phone of my points. All of this while being a very young child in elementary school. And the end result of all of this was I looked like a terrible child. Or my mother would say, you know, James was fighting with his brother. And blah 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 blah. And I would stand up and say the truth. No, I wasn't. I was defending myself. So forth and so on. My brother would now jump into the situation. And a big mess would happen. Where my mother was pretending to try to control the situation. And would end up saying to her friend, oh no. Oh no. I'm going to have to let you go. I'm so sorry about this. But in reality it was mission accomplished. My mother's friend got to hear how so-called horrible of a child I was. And how much my golden child brother and I fought, and how we were, in my mother's friend's words, for no reason giving my mother a hard way to go. But all of this was designed and puppeteered by my mother. She kept this up from our young childhood years, all the way until I was a teenager. And up until I left the house. Fast forward. I met Susie. And she too was a master at this. She would call her friends, and then covertly accuse me of things while she was on the phone with these people. And because I was trained to do this as a child, I would try so hard to get my point across to Susie and the person on the other end of the phone, that what was being said wasn't true. And boy oh boy did Susie get her supply out of doing this to me. You see, the narcissist has many ways to make you look crazy to others, all the while gaining their narcissistic supply, and to rope you into working so hard to not only convince them of your innocence but someone on the other end of the phone is just madness. And Susie would always do this with friends of hers that I got along with really well. Friends that appeared to have thought I was a decent human being. Yet she was able to use this trick to make me look like I was the bad guy. And my mother was able to do the same. Now how the love bombing comes into play, such as with my mother, was during all of the court drama between my father and mother. My mother was of course working hard to make my golden child brother and I afraid of my father. But she also was buying or charging toys for us. Real expensive toys that she didn't have the money for. Then these episodes would happen, where we or I was questioning things regarding my father, and why he wasn't around. Then my mother would use her wordplay to twist things around on me, and or get my brother to fight with me. She might wait for a few moments once things simmered down. Then she would call her friend, bring up some trigger points to her two elementary school age kids, to get us back to fighting once more. And her friend that's on the other end of the phone would be thinking about our mother, this wonderful lady that buys us all of those toys. And how ungrateful we were. You see, narcissist not only use love bombing to get you hooked, but sometimes they will let others know all the nice things they are doing for you. So when they start the abuse, gaslighting, and crazy making parts of these cycles, the narcissist now has an audience that will know them as this nice gift-giving loving parent or spouse. And here you are, this horrible ungrateful person. It's sad, but I just remember during this time frame, there was a big chunk of time where we fought like this nearly every night. Every night where we were puppeteered into some sort of fight, where everyone was crying and upset, fighting till the wee hours of the morning, then needing to get up to go to school after that. And if we weren't fighting, I was staying up to 2 and 3 in the morning trying to do my homework, and sadly doing it wrong, all at a very young age. For more info on that, go see my video on narcissistic abuse and special education. But these night fights were truly traumatic experiences. And I think that's where I learned how to continue on working so hard to get toxic people to hopefully believe my innocence. To always be on trial. Because as an adult, when Susie did the same thing to me, I fell right into my role as if I was a child all over again. You see, me going back in time in my mind to look at my abuse I went through was important. Because I was able to look at key behaviors that I learned and where and when I learned them. So I could do the work to understand what happened. And work to slowly pull these traits and behaviors out of me, so they no longer are part of my everyday life and thinking. You know, I'll always have these things there. But knowing and working hard to reverse these things is key. Because if I'm confronted with something like this again, I will, without saying a word, walk out the door, get into my car, drive home, never to see this person again. I know it's hard to say or do that when you're in this situation. It was when I was with Susie. But I didn't understand I was doing this with Susie because I learned this as a child from my mother. At the time I didn't understand this. Now that I understand this, I can better slow down time in my mind and say, oh no, wait a minute. I know exactly what this is and I want no part of it. I now think, wow, I can't believe I was sitting there trying to prove my innocence to a narcissist and their friend while they were on the phone. But I look at myself with kind eyes. As you should. I didn't know better at the time. I'm sure you didn't if you had this happen to you as well. But looking at this for what it is, it's like the chains of this abuse are just falling off one by one. One by one. Never to put these chains back on again. The chains of always being on trial and trying to prove ourselves to evil people. But I'm curious. How many of you had this happened in your lives? How common is this? If you're comfortable, tell me about it in the comments section below. Plus your comments and experiences will help others. And hopefully it will help you see more things that happened in your abuse, so you never repeat it again. We have to train ourselves to see these things and just walk away. No explaining. No trying to prove ourselves for no reason. Just see it for what it is and not engaging in it at all. Because when we know better, we do better. Like I always say, knowledge is power. The more we know, the more we can lead happy and healthy lives. Until next time. Bye for now. And be good to yourself.